This place was a water basin in Iran until a few years ago, and this is what it looks like now. We have been seeing content about drought for years. There is no room left to argue about whether the water is gone. But things like water wars or the complete evacuation of a city sounded somewhat futuristic, at least for 2025. After all, drought was not yesterday's problem. But today, something entirely different is happening in Iran. President Pezeshkian appeared on camera recently and said one of the most shocking sentences about the state. If rainfall does not come soon, we will begin mandatory water cuts. And water cuts are already happening very seriously in Iran. If that is still not enough, we may have to evacuate some districts of Tehran. We are talking about evacuating a city of 10 million people. Climate change, rotten infrastructure, wrong state policies, and increasingly intense geopolitical competition, meaning water wars, are now converging around a single glass of water. Now let's look together at the latest situation in Iran. First of all, rainfall in Iran has decreased by 20 to 50% over the last 30 years. Since 2000, more than 30 severe droughts have been recorded. But the real issue is not the rainfall. It was how the water was managed. About 90% of Iran's clean water goes to agriculture. This is one of the lesser-known aspects of water usage. People might think that leaving the tap running while brushing their teeth causes serious water loss, and you should still not leave it running. But the most important factor in water use is traditional irrigation methods and state policies. In Iran, under the shadow of sanctions, a self-sufficiency strategy from the 1980s led to the cultivation of high-water consuming crops like rice, cotton, and sugarcane in the driest regions. This could be sustainable to an extent, but according to officials, the country is facing a drought not seen for centuries, and the situation has reached an irreversible stage, meaning that even if it rains now, the infrastructure has collapsed so much that an entire city may still need to be evacuated. According to the United Nations 2024 report, Iran has consumed 70% of its underground water reserves. In Rafsanjani alone, the ground sinks 25 to 30 centimeters every year. Roads split. The foundations of buildings shift. Even the soil cannot remain standing, because when the water withdraws, a huge void forms underground. Water is not just decreasing. The soil can no longer hold what is above it. Now, let's move to the issue I mentioned earlier. Water is not only drinking water. From industrial production to agricultural cycles, from hospital operating rooms to power plants, the entire infrastructure of modern life depends on water. Around 10% of electricity comes from hydroelectric power plants. When there is no water left in the dam, electricity production stops. When the electricity stops, pumps stop. When pumps stop, faucets stop. Surgeries cannot be performed. Factories stop. The cold chain collapses and food spoils. And this is not a possibility. This is happening right now. In the summer of 2025, daily 2 to 4 hour power cuts became normal in Tehran. And this is connected to water to a certain degree. On some days, the Ministry of Health announced that intensive care units in hospitals were closed due to the lack of water and electricity. So the issue is not that Iranians are simply left without drinking water. The state apparatus itself is being left without water. And when we look outward, water is no longer a matter of diplomacy, but has become a weapon. The Taliban administration has repeatedly cut the flow of water from the Helmand River in eastern Iran. They said, "This water belongs to us. If you want a solution, come negotiate." Around the same time, Netanyahu said live on air, "We have the technology to convert seawater into drinking water. If Iran becomes free, we will help." On the Nile, Egypt has been signaling for years that it is ready for war because of Ethiopia's Renaissance Dam. Pakistan threatens India with nuclear war over river control in Kashmir. When you look at the Jordan Valley, you see that water control lies at the heart of the Palestine-Israel tension. The world is shifting to a new axis. Water is replacing oil, and Iran is both struggling with drought and waiting at the tip of the tap controlled by its neighbors. In short, what we call water wars has already begun. This is not a futuristic perspective. Research is very clear. In countries facing water scarcity, inflation accelerates threefold. Internal migration spreads. Food prices explode. According to the World Bank, the probability of government change increases by 57% in such countries. Cape Town declared Day Zero in 2018, meaning on the day when the city's water ran out, the faucets were shut off. People had to live on 50 liters of water per day. The wealthy built tanks. The poor stood in line. Water turned into a class issue. The same scenario is happening in Iran today. So what will happen in Iran now? There are three predictions. First, regional evacuations begin. Some areas of the city are closed, Tehran is reduced, and instead of water distribution, population reduction is implemented. Second, an international water agreement may be established. Iran may negotiate with Gulf countries, Afghanistan, or even China for water supply and technology, giving political concessions in return. Third, the internal regime may explode. When water, electricity, and economic contraction combine, the streets may fill again, and indeed protests have already happened. Today we all see this. Humanity, which built civilizations around water for centuries, is now confronting the sentence. If water ends, civilization ends. And the issue is not only Iran, Iran is an example. This will be the fate of all states that cannot secure access to water. Thank you for listening. See you again tomorrow. Take care and goodbye.